All right, in front of me, I've got a few new lenses from Zhongyi Optics. I got the 20mm, 35mm, and 50mm Speedmaster cinema primes that are designed for super 35mm sensors. Now, I've only had these lenses for a short amount of time, so this is gonna be more of a first impressions video than a detailed scientific review. But that said, I did do some tests that we'll talk about and look at here in just a minute. But first of all, let's talk about the price. Now, these lenses are $499 US, at least at the time of recording this, or you can bundle these lenses as a set and save a little bit money and only pay $1,299 US, which kind of puts it in that budget cinema prime territory. However, one of the things that I will say is these do not feel budget at all. These lenses are super high quality. Everything feels metal on these lenses except for the front and rear lens cap. Now on the back, you have a metal mount right here. This is the RF version, but they do have other mounts available as well. Next up, you have this iris ring right here, which is a 60-degree throw. You got T1 to T16. And you also have indicators on the operator and first AC side of what T-stop you're actually at. Moving forward, you have your focus ring, which all three of these lenses have the exact same focus throw of 270 degrees for focus and 60 degrees for the iris. And then on the operator side, you have focus indicator marks, and unfortunately, it's missing focus indicator marks on the first AC side. And then in the front of the lens, it accepts 77mm rings, so you can use that for variable NDs or step-up rings, or if you use a matte box, you can screw on the adapter to use for your matte box. They're also very nice and compact. I would kind of put this in the compact cinema prime territory, and that's really great for flying it on a gimbal or just having a more compact setup. So even though these are priced very competitively in the budget category, from a build quality perspective, they absolutely match some of these higher end cinema lenses that you have out there on the market. All right, moving right along to image quality and characteristics of these lenses, because well, that's obviously really important when you're considering lenses. And I'm just gonna go ahead and get the bad stuff out of the way, and then we'll talk about what I like. Now, all the bad stuff pretty much happens at T1.0. First of all, chromatic aberration is distracting. Like, it's really bad. And at T1.0, the other thing is it's just really, really soft. Like it's like a creative T-stop almost. It just gives you like this really soft and dreamy, ethereal looking shot. Like, it is definitely super soft and not something that I would want to use on any of my shots unless there was like a very specific creative reason. And also, pulling focus at T1.0 is kind of a nightmare. So if you have a good first AC, you probably don't want to be at T1.0 anyways, because they'll never come back and shoot at you. Now that said, as soon as you get to T1.4, even like a T1.2 to T1.4 split, things start getting a lot sharper and the chromatic aberration starts to become much more controlled. Now you'll still get some of that purple fringing along some of the edges and some green fringing in the background blur, as you can see in these shots, but it's honestly not that distracting. And like, some of the really expensive cinema primes, like the Canon Cine primes, like you get really nasty chromatic aberration, and those lenses are like thousands of dollars. So this isn't specific to just cheap lenses, but that is something that you have to consider. Like, if you want to shoot wide open and you're shooting in really high contrast scenes, that's just something to be aware of, that you are going to get some purple fringing and some green fringing depending on the scenario. But I will say, when you're at like a reasonable T-stop, especially like if you're pulling focus yourself, anywhere from like a T2 to a T4, especially like in the 2.8 range, these lenses look really good, and they kind of have like their own character. Like, they're not gonna be like Tokina Vista Prime Sharp, or like, you know, Sigma Cinema Prime, or even like these Canon RF lenses. Like, they're just not going to be that sharp. They definitely have like their own look, and I kind of like how they look. They kind of have like this vintage feel to them, and they're not overly sharp, which is nice because, you know, a lot of times people put like diffusion filters and stuff on their lenses just to take the digital edge off their sensor and how sharp their lenses are. But these, I think that they're sharp enough to get a good quality image, especially on like the red Komodo, but they're not so sharp that you have to use diffusion filters in front, if that makes any sense. Now, another thing I really wanted to test when comparing these three lenses is how well do they actually match, because that's really important if you're running a 3-camera setup and using these 3 lenses. You obviously want them to match. And what I found is the 35 and the 50, they match pretty good, especially in terms of color. The 20mm is kind of a wild child. It was much warmer and greener than these other 2 lenses. And like in this particular test that I did, I had to go into DaVinci Resolve and I shot on the Red Komodo X in Red Code RAW. And basically what I did on the RAW adjustment tabs, I had to bring the tint to like a minus 1.96 adjustment or something like that. And then I think I had to bring it down like 100 and 150 degree to make it a little bit cooler to match these other 2 lenses. So something definitely to consider if you are picking up these 3 lenses. If you're noticing a shift in color, it's most likely this 20mm is going to lean a little bit more green and warm than these 2 lenses. So to wrap this up, I'm actually pretty impressed with these lenses, especially given the price point. Now, these aren't going to beat out any, Tokina Vista primes or anything like that, or even like the Sigma Cine primes. Like, those are really expensive lenses, and there's a reason for that. However, I would say at the price point, like if you're in the budget category and you're just looking for some budget lenses to add to your kit, I think these are worth a serious look. I really like how compact they are, so really good for flying on a gimbal or for long shooting days. They're not gonna wear you out like a Tokina Vista Prime because those lenses are ridiculously heavy. But the other thing to consider is I really just think these are honestly like a T1.4 and above lens. Like I honestly really wouldn't go for T1 on these lenses because I personally think it's not really usable. A T1.4 split starts to clean up a little bit, but honestly, T1.4 is kind of my comfort zone for these lenses, and still T1.4 is nothing to look away from. I mean, T1.4 is still looks really good, and you can still get really shallow depth of field even on the 20mm lens. So that said, for the price, I think these are really good lenses. So if you are in the market for some budget Super 35mm cinema lenses, then I would definitely give these a serious look. Well, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.